Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Please do not use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. Let's watch.
Got some good rest this morning. Had a nice breakfast out here.
Is there anything you think you need to work on, or?
Sometimes I can be a little selfish, or some things I say I should probably think twice before I say it.
So it was edited, but in the edit, she says, is there anything you want me to work on? And he says, I need to work on being selfish. I need to stop being selfish. So good sign. We sometimes see that on Love is Blind, where they'll have a fight and then the next morning after sleeping on it, they're able to differentiate and see it with better perspective.
Yeah. I think I'm realizing I need to work on being less bitchy sometimes.
A little bitchy's good. But,
yeah, but I can work on being kinder to you sometimes. I think sometimes you just frustrate me, and I never, get angry or, mean or yell or anything. I'm just like, oh, Nick, come on. But I need to be, more patient with you, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, all of us, if we're going to be in a relationship and try to make it work, we have to probably say all these things to ourselves. But the way Hannah is saying it, it's like, is she really taking responsibility? Because she's saying, I think I need to stop being so bitchy. I need to have more patience. It's good. But then she's also kind of saying, there's just some times when you're just so, this isn't her words, but she's kind of saying, there's just some times where you're so annoying that, I think I just need to have more patience. Yeah, it's
the USS Naval Destroyer. I could probably drive this yacht. I miss being out to sea. This is so exciting. I close my eyes. I'm on a Navy boat.
I realized you were in the Navy, but I didn't realize how much you.
Yeah, Stacy and I took a tour boat for whale watching. That was this exact route. We went out there and then around the corner and then up and saw a lot of whales. The boat was very careful to follow the rules about distance.
I feel like there is something that's been kind of weighing on me and bothering. I just want to address it. In the pods, I remember you specifically telling me we're together, I'm going to get you flowers. I've waited a long time to find the right person.
They might actually be at a restaurant that Stacy and I went to. In the San Jose part of it, not the Cabo St. Lucas side. Anyway, so she is saying that there's something that's been weighing on her, and it has to do with him in the pods saying that he would buy her flowers. Is that what she said?
In the pods, I remember you specifically telling me, we're together, I'm going to get you flowers. I've waited a long time to
Yeah, in the pods, you said when we're together, I'm going to get you flowers. Okay, so let's see where this is going.
Find the right person. The actions matching up with the words, right? That's going to be really important to me.
You're right. And
so he is agreeing. Let's see what happens here. Maybe they edited this funny, but in terms of the edit, I don't understand. Maybe it's just a metaphor or a stand-in, the getting me flowers is communicated between the two of them about putting effort into the relationship or something.
I was using that as a concept, but it wouldn't be flowers, but it'd be something along those lines with the kid. Flowers to me, I get it.
It's not about the flowers.
No,
Right. So he's saying in the pods, I was saying flowers, but I meant it more as a stand-in for the putting effort into making your partner feel special, little gifts that are thoughtful or something. And then she says, yeah, it's not really about flowers. Okay, so is she saying that he's not putting effort into the relationship, or he's not being romantic or something?
It's just about making me feel special.
Yeah, you're right.
The love languages. I'm a big words of affirmation, acts of service person, but my third one is gifts. And I show love.
Okay, so they're being specific, and she's saying love language. There's a lot of culture and talk about love languages. There's a lot of problems with that way of thinking. When we research it in my field, we don't really find that the premises that the love language model puts forth is accurate or demonstrated in the data, meaning that people aren't inherently one love language or even, a set of love languages. And it makes sense, especially in light of the way that I think about things, is that we ultimately want to feel loved. We want to feel secure. We want to feel safe. We want to feel cared for. We want to feel like we can trust someone. And however that is communicated and demonstrated and proven over time is how it will fulfill us and fulfill that need. If that's through giving gifts, if that's through saying things, if that's through physical things, if that's through acts of kindness or whatever, then that's how it is. So there's that. But she is saying that her love language, what she likes to receive, and the idea is not a bad one to think about in terms of what ways do you like to give love and which ways do you like to receive love, and which ways does my partner like to give love and which ways does my partner like to receive love. Sometimes those aren't the same things, and so we having conversations about that could be good. And she is saying that. It seems a little unusual given that they've only been in person for maybe 2 or 3 days, and she is saying she's criticizing him for not getting her gifts. It just doesn't seem to be likely that there would be a lot of gifts at this point. But, she's communicating, so that's good.
Christmas Day, I will get everyone that I know the most thoughtful gift. I spend money on making people smile.
Gifts has always been my last. Even for Christmas, I think the last time my family was able to really provide gifts for everyone.
Yeah.
Years ago. I haven't really gotten a Christmas gift in a long time.
Okay, so he's saying gifts is his last. All right, so negotiating this or understanding each other.
When it comes to our financial upbringing, I refuse to let that be the thing that ever puts space between us.
I have not once felt like our financial upbringing differences. It was like I know I don't have to get you something top quality.
I wish that he would just slow down and ask her, okay, what do you mean? I want you to know that I love you. And if gifts is a part of it, what do you mean? Because I think he is assuming, he might be correct, that what she's saying is that she wants him to buy her expensive items like diamond rings or whatever, and is already expecting that 3 days into, just after getting an engagement ring a few days earlier. But okay. Or does she mean, handmade gifts that he made with his hands, like a little card or a little whittle thing or something, who knows? And he is assuming, and so he's saying, it's one of the last things for me. My upbringing, we didn't have money, so gifts was not possible in my family. And for us to express love to each other, we couldn't give those kind of gifts. I didn't get Christmas gifts. And then she says, I don't think we should let our differences in background interfere with our relationship or our communication of love. Yeah, this isn't, they're not escalating, but I don't think they're seeing eye to eye.
Like a Kate Spade bag. So something
like a YSL bag.
I don't even know what that is.
Louis Vuitton? You've heard of Louis Vuitton.
Is he a big deal?
It's a big deal.
Okay.
Okay. Let's rewind this.
It was like I know I don't have to get you something top quality like a Kate Spade bag. So something.
So he says, I know I don't have to get you top quality like a Kate Spade bag. The only reason why I know of Kate Spade is, didn't she die? Is she the one that died by suicide? She says, don't get me one of those. Okay, well, she's saying her preference, but we'll see. Well, then she says Louis Vuitton. So if I just heard this, I would wonder, oh, yay. What she's saying is, no, don't get me designer bags. Just get me a nice thing, like a little gesture. Like I like cats. So I'm speaking for myself. I have a lot of little cats around. And but that's not what she's saying, I don't think. And that's, I don't think they're really seeing eye to eye. But then what does she say?
It's like a YSL bag.
I don't even know what that is.
And then she says, don't get me Kate Spade, get me a YSL bag. Yeah, I like Stephen. I have no idea what a YSL, I'm sure it's a brand of some sort.
Louis Vuitton? You've heard of Louis Vuitton.
Oh, right. So YSL is Louis Vuitton? Okay. Wait, isn't YSL Yves Saint Laurent or something? I just wish they would slow down a little bit and he would say, okay, so what would be sort of your sweet spot here? Like, excuse me for trying to get concrete, but I think we live in different worlds in this way and I want to be a good partner. I don't know if I can accommodate this, but help me understand, like, what sort of gifts, how often, what kind of vibe are we looking for? Because this is not my love language, but I want to at least know what your love language is. And then I would just hear her. Hopefully she could be able to say, like, this brand or this amount of money or this often or something. Or she would just say, no, it's not rigid like that. It's just that I feel like you care.
Is he like a big deal?
It's a big deal.
Okay.
I love you. I don't want to sound materialistic, but I also want, like, to feel special.
Okay, you don't want to sound materialistic. I want to feel special. That's good. It's okay to be materialistic. It's not a grand sin. But I think, what do I think? I think that she wants to feel special. Okay, so if I were there, I would say, okay, you want to feel special and your love language is for these expensive things, or is that what you're saying? Like, what are we talking here? Like, if he got you, say, a used Louis Vuitton bag, or if he got you something that meant a lot to him, like he was at his favorite store and he saw, I'm just trying to think, or he picked flowers from his own garden and gave them to you or something. What are we talking here? And then maybe understand that and then say, okay, you want to feel special and you don't feel special right now. Okay, so gifts, important. What else makes you feel special? And then just have a bigger conversation around that, because it's possible that she is feeling insecure and she doesn't feel special, and she's resorting to this talk about gifts because it's safer for her, and unconsciously she's more just anxious about the relationship, which makes sense. They barely know each other. But it's also possible that since they've been having a little bit of tension, we saw that scene where she is telling him essentially to shut up so that she can talk. And he's like, oh, am I being chatty again? So it seems like that's a pattern that might be not managed well between the two of them. And he's starting to pull away a little bit or protect himself, just a guess. And then she's feeling anxious about that. And instead of just zooming out, differentiating and looking at that and trying to figure out what's really going on, she resorts to this criticism, but it's not a horrible conversation. And if this is how she receives love, then that's how she receives love. And I'm guessing she has other ways of receiving love. So another question I would ask, once we had a number of ways that she could feel special, and I'm guessing that there's some avenue there of exploration, like once we kind of talked about that, I might ask her, okay, how did people make you feel special in your family or in past relationships? And how did that work out? Because I'm guessing that there's something going on there, But anyway, if we fully explored that, then maybe we could focus on just making her feel special right now in this moment, and then that would actually satisfy. I'm guessing that's what's happening, is she just doesn't feel special. She doesn't feel loved. She's worried that he doesn't really want to be with her, and if we could help her to feel special and feel loved and cared for, then the emphasis on this love language conversation would maybe just disappear. If you grew up poor, then having a conversation like this could be really shaming, could be really stigmatizing. You could think like, oh, I'm not good enough. It's my old tape playing right now of I'll never be accepted because I'm too poor. I can't afford things. It's not my style. I don't even know those brands. Where do I even begin with this? I'll be an imposter in this elite world.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Right. And no, and I dropped the ball on that. Not happy about that.
I do recognize that, like, you wrote me a poem after days meeting me, and you sang me Edwin McCain, and, like, those things melt my heart deeply.
Okay, so he says that he has dropped the ball. I wonder if he's just saying that, and then she follows suit and gives a gift of saying, hey, you wrote me that poem, you sang me that song, that's also gift giving, so that's good. You know, I'm glad to hear that bit.
But I also am who I am. Like, I also want flowers sometimes.
I really don't want to disappoint you. It's a lot.
What's a lot?
Moving forward with marriage. It's just like such a massive decision.
Okay, so it's interesting that that's what's brought up, right? You don't usually hear that sort of statement in this context unless that is foreboding. He is saying it's just a lot, and I don't know about this marriage thing. So yeah, he could be feeling a lot worse than he's coming across. He might actually not agree with what she's saying.
And I just don't want to feel forced into doing something. Because I don't think that's fair to you. You know, if suddenly I'm having second thoughts and next thing you know...
Are you like, I'm so confused that you're saying.
Yeah. Steven. And then she says, in a good move, she's like, are you having second thoughts? And he says, no, I'm not having. Well, then why are you're talking like you're being forced? I think he might be referring to the show a little bit, maybe that's where he's at. He's thinking, I would like more time. Maybe that's a non-processed sort of thought in his head, and that's what he's saying. So maybe he believes what he's saying is, no, I do love you. I do want to marry you. I just don't think this timeline is very wise. Let's rewind that.
Such a massive decision, and I just don't want to feel forced into doing something. Because I don't think that's fair to you. You know, if suddenly I'm having second thoughts and next thing you know...
Are you like, I'm so confused that you're saying this right now.
I know. No,
like,
I'm
literally, I'm so confused.
I'm not. You know, I'm just...
No, you are. It's okay. Just say it. Like...
No, I'm not having second
You're
thoughts.
saying things like second, like...
Yeah, I'm on her side here. I mean, not side, but I relate to what I think he might not have a fully formed thought, and he's reacting to the Louis Vuitton thing, and stuff is just coming out of his face. Or this is a passive aggression, or I don't know. I mean, I think it's good that she's asking. I think she should slow down and say, okay, well, what are you saying? And just take in more information, because I think jumping to saying what the fuck is not likely to help the situation.
What the fuck? And you're not looking me in the eyes.
Yeah, I know, because I'm trying to think. You're right. Let me think of how best to word it. I'm by no means afraid to marry you.
Yeah, you're not helping. Yeah, that makes sense. I think probably what's happening for him is he is having some very unprocessed ambivalence about marrying her, and doesn't have it figured out at all, and is thinking out loud. Given that he is a more chatty person that is potentially more extroverted, then that might be the way that he works things out. And I'll remind myself and y'all that they can't talk to anyone except for each other and the producers. They can't even talk to the other cast members without permission, right? But I think they can get permission, but They can't just freely walk around the hotel and ask people questions. At the very least, they don't have their phone. They can't call their friends, their family, their therapist, no one. They're just in one of the most confusing, intense, I would imagine for all of these folks, this is either one of the top or the most intense, emotional, life-changing experiences of their entire lives. And yet they can't talk to anyone. They can't process their thoughts. They can't speak with someone that can give them some perspective until they go back home. But I wonder for him if because of that, he's had some thoughts rolling around in his head, and normally he would be talking with someone else, but because she's the one that he can talk to, he's like doing it out loud, and he doesn't know that he is saying things that are very, very concerning to her. If he is wanting to retain this relationship, this is not going to help. If I were in her shoes, I would be receiving this as, at the very least, he is definitely on the fence, right? Maybe even wanting to break up.
Like, I am genuinely in love with you. I'm just nervous about the whole thing because it's a huge, huge commitment. And it's not that I'm second guessing being with you. You know, I just don't want to feel overwhelmed when the moment comes.
Yeah, that's in line with my hypothesis that his conscious mind, anyway, is wanting to be with her and is in love with her and wants to be in a relationship with her, but does not want to be pressured into saying yes or no at the altar in a month or however long it is from now.
To meet you at the altar.
You're fucking kidding me. You, like, day one, were like, I'm in love with you. I'm going to marry you. I want to be with you. And, like, you knew what this was. Like, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. These are things that I was very much hoping you had thought through.
Yeah.
Right? Before being so sure.
She's hurt. This has got to be hurtful and has got to be a huge thing. From the outside, I or we or you might watch this and say, like, well, you know, it takes time to figure these things out. But for Monica, this is intense. To hand yourself over to get married to him and to put all your chips in and to be, let's go, and I'm going to have no ambiguity about this, to realize that your partner is putting on the brakes. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. And it's interesting, though, that what she goes to is, but you committed, you already, and people do that. And I understand it, but it doesn't make any logical sense. In the real world, what we will see is, and it sucks, but let's say that there's a marriage and you've been married for 7 years and your partner comes to you and says that they want to separate or they want a divorce or they're thinking about it. There's a natural impulse for the dumpee or potential dumpee to say, but you committed. You said at the altar, I do forever, through thick and thin, you know, sickness and in health. And you're not upholding your promise. You know, I get that, but do you as a dumpee want someone to force themselves to be in a relationship that they don't really want to be in? Now, what some people will say is, well, you committed and you didn't put in the work to retain your connection with me or to retain the goodness in your heart for this relationship. And yeah, but again, do you want to be attached to someone who is only trying to build a connection with you because they feel like they have to, because they promise, not because they just wanted to, right? Like with me and my wife, I'm with her not because of any obligation or any promise. I'm with her because I want to be with her. It's a compulsion. It's a need. It's a foregone conclusion, you know? So that's the sort of thing that you're looking for. And if someone has gotten to a point where they are heavily questioning, now, maybe there's a way to pull out of the nosedive, but at the very least, it happens. And, you know, I understand this impulse of just like, but you, this is what she's saying, you said you wanted to marry me. You were in love with me. You said you committed. You went on the, you came on the show. That's another thing that they'll say on the show is like, why would you come on the show if you felt like it was overwhelming, like it was too fast? Well, imagine if Stephen could be honest with himself anyway, he would say, I was open to marrying someone within 2 months of getting to know them. I just don't think that Monica is that one. I mean, maybe no one is the one, but I just know I'm not comfortable marrying her right away because there's some problems, So all's fair in love and war, as they say, and I think this is just part of it. I understand that she's upset. This is just a huge blow. It sounds like they have not talked about this at all. He has not processed these thoughts. He's contradicting himself. He's, no, everything's good. I'm just wondering if I really want to marry you. What do you mean we're all good? That doesn't sound like we're all good. He should have thought about what unless this is his passive way of getting it out there, his attempt to soften the blow. He's telling her, and if it sounds like this is true, it's good that he's telling her. Better now than later.
You okay?
I'm listening.
No, I thought you were like about to cry. Are you okay?
I mean, I'm listening. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. It's a lot. But like, dude, let's take it
You're right.
one step. All that matters is you and I. It's all that matters. Right?
You and me. Yeah. And then he starts to cry. I think maybe because he felt like she was getting upset, or he was starting to worry, like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. And then he does this thing, which in the past I would see this as him being mature and differentiated and compassionate. But now I wonder if he resorts to this mode when he is overwhelmed. It's a way of protecting himself. It's a way of getting out of trouble. Let's watch that transition.
Getting ourselves into. These are things that I was very much hoping you had thought through.
Yeah.
Right? Before being so sure. You okay?
I'm listening.
No, I thought you were like about to cry. Are you okay?
I mean, I'm listening. I appreciate you.
Or he wants to interrupt, but he is scared to speak because of the previous upsetness from her about him being a chatterbox. So he might have said, no, just be quiet. Even had his hand over his mouth. Don't say anything because you don't want to be a chatterbox. You don't want to interrupt her. So it kind of looked like that too. But yeah, I don't think, I would not put a lot of money down on them as a yes, or even making it to the wedding. Okay, so I took a little break and I went to the bathroom and I went upstairs, talked with Stacy, and I was just talking about what I was reacting to. She's already watched all of this. Well, what I was telling Stacy is I was like, I think they're at the restaurant that we went to, because we mainly stayed at the hotel, but when we went into town, I think it was this very restaurant. It had really good Yelp reviews, and the restaurant had all these different interesting rooms. Like every room was different, and they had a little gift shop. Anyway, I don't know if that's the same one, but they showed the outside of it when they were doing the B-roll stuff, and then they cut to them, and so I was wondering if, anyway. And I was telling her what I was reacting to, and Stacy helped me to kind of sift through this. And the one thing that I should say is that I don't want to disparage anyone for liking an expensive handbag. Each to their own. Some people, really like their expensive. I like expensive guitars. Once I finally had the money to do so, I finally bought an acoustic guitar that was new. I had always used very janky acoustic guitars. I mainly write on acoustic guitar, and when I pick up a guitar or any music instrument, it's always an acoustic guitar. It's just easier to kind of fiddle around with. And I, in 2016, as sort of a career gift to myself, I bought a Gibson acoustic guitar that was $3,000. That's an insane amount of money, and the sound difference really. I mean, I drove all around Seattle, and King County and played hundreds of different guitars. I would go into guitar shops and I would ask them to give me a bunch of guitar stands, and then I would play like 10 different acoustic guitars, and then I'd drive to the next store and I'd do that. And I took a few days, and then I landed on this, very expensive, and that's a stupid amount of money. And the difference is really, I mean, if I played the two acoustic, if I played like a $500 Gibson versus the $3,000 Gibson, I can almost guarantee 99% of people would be like, I don't really hear the difference, or they would like the less expensive version better. But does the expense have something to do with its appeal? I don't know. I'd like to think not, but maybe I just subconsciously think a more expensive guitar. And I'm even thinking about buying an even more. It's the one thing that I buy that is extravagant. I don't buy expensive cars or watches. That's me. And someone could look at me and say, that's ridiculous. And I would have no way to defend myself. But I think everything still stands in terms of what I'm saying about how he, for some reason, and in the edit, we could speculate what that is, but I'm guessing it's way more complicated than that because they're together 24/7, that he is wondering about the timeline and he's worried that that's coming on too fast. He might even be worried about if he does have cold feet now, he's worried that he doesn't want to wait. He doesn't want to wait until a week before the altar, or definitely while he's on the altar. He would feel really bad about that, is what I'm wondering. I don't know. But also, you've watched ahead, and maybe Steven is a real giant jerkface. Stacy doesn't spoil things for me, but the way she was reacting to what I was saying about these two, it sort of made me wonder if Steven is a jerk face, not a tremendous one, but kind of a tremendous, or I don't know, or I'm just making stuff up. But we can all think about materialism and classism and privilege and how that operates in our lives, and we can refrain from judging other people. I'm reminding myself to refrain from judging others for whatever they want to do with their life and money. And I say all this partially because I heard today, in terms of my timeline where I am, the H3 podcast, with Ethan Klein. I did a live stream today, and someone asked about H3, and then Stacy was moderating the comments, and I think someone said that the H3 podcast today, they were talking about me. And Stacy looked it up and found that they were watching one of my reaction videos to the show, and they were watching the clip in which I'm going off about Leo's goddamn fucking watch. And I think I am wondering, like, it's sort of weird. Like, when I make these reaction videos, there's different layers of publicness about it, right? I feel kind of cozy with y'all because, my numbers aren't ginormous and it feels smaller. But then when particularly, his audience is millions of people, right? So then I'm like, I don't know if I want that out there, especially if it's out of context, right? That I am just, as a therapist, as a clinician, as a professional representing my field, that I'm just like yelling at someone for liking a Rolex, I stand by what I published and what I said in context of everything that I was reacting to. The premise of materialism, the premise of the premise I'm operating off of is a criticism of materialism and elitism and classism that is highly destructive to societies all around the world, particularly American society. Destructive in very real ways. Destructive to people's lives around the world, destructive to our own lives, to our own mental health, to our relationships, to making us work longer and more hours, keeping up with the Joneses, to venture capitalists destroying businesses because they need to have their stock appreciate by 10 times over the span of a couple years. It's just a horrible trend, and it's only getting worse. And so the Rolex watch kind of represented that. I guess I'm also kind of wondering if it's a good idea that I talk about anything along these lines, because I don't normally swim in these waters, and I hope that you're okay with the things that I'm saying. Or you can disagree. There's the difference between disagreeing and being canceled, right? Yeah. I'm not worried about being canceled.
Yeah. I love you.
Love you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they'll work it out. I'd put a little bit of money that this isn't going to go well. Not that it's going to be a disaster, because I think both of them are mature enough to handle situations. But given what he's saying, usually especially at the getaway, if you hear someone heavily questioning whether or not they want to get married, it doesn't usually turn around from there. It's usually during this time when there's a lot of enthusiasm about things. Although maybe that's not exactly true. I mean, Garrett and Taylor is still explicitly basically saying she isn't sure and that she is still waiting to see. So I don't know. Well, you probably already know, and I'm going to find out, and you'll watch me find out. Or you won't. I'm not telling you that you have to watch me. If you care to watch me, you will watch me find out. All right. Well, I want to thank the new members who just signed up today. We have Megan and Christy and AI and T-Sky, good old T-Sky, re-signed up. Actually, all these people have re-signed up. Deborah as well. So I guess this is a shout out to those people who joined and then canceled and then rejoined. So, if you joined at all, that's great. Also, Heather rejoined today as well. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Truly, I would not be here if it weren't for you. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.